was 12 years old when she first saw the stars up close. Not through a window on Earth, not through pictures in her school books, but right there in front of her eyes. She pressed her small hands against the cold glass of the observation deck and smiled. The universe was so big, and she was just a small girl from. Her father was the captain of the research vessel Horizon. It was not a warship. It carried scientists, diplomats, and their families, was the youngest person on board, and everyone loved her. She had a bright smile and curious eyes. She asked questions about everything. The crew called her Little Star because she always wanted to learn about the cosmos. The Horizon was on a diplomatic mission to the Galactic Council's central station. Humanity had only joined the galactic community 5 years ago. They were considered new, young, primitive. The older species looked at humans the way adults look at small children who do not know anything yet. Did not understand politics. She just wanted to see aliens. When the Horizon docked at the station, held her father's hand tightly. The station was enormous. It was bigger than any city she had ever seen. Lights of every color filled the air. Strange sounds echoed through the halls, and there were so many aliens. Tall ones, short ones, ones with scales, ones with feathers, ones that floated instead of walked. "Stay close to me," said softly. His voice was kind but serious. "This is not home, we must be careful here." Nodded, but her eyes were wide with wonder. Over the next few days, explored the parts of the station where humans were allowed. She made friends with some of the alien children. There was a small creature named who had soft blue fur and 4 arms. Did not speak Korean or English, but they laughed together anyway. Laughter, it seemed, was the same in every language. The council members watched the humans from a distance. They did not hide their feelings. To them, humans were newcomers who did not deserve respect yet. Elder, the leader of the council, had skin like stone and eyes like black glass. He never smiled. He looked at humans like they were insects crawling on his floor. "They breed fast," said to his advisors one day. "They spread fast, they learn fast, this makes them dangerous. We must remind them of their place." The advisors agreed. Humans needed to know they were at the bottom. Did not know any of this. She was too busy playing. One afternoon was chasing through the lower halls of the station. They were laughing and running, not paying attention to where they were going. Was fast and tried hard to keep up. She turned a corner and suddenly found herself in a dark hallway she had never seen before. The walls were different here. They were covered with strange symbols. Red lights blinked on the ceiling. Stopped running. Her heart beat faster. She looked around for her, but her friend was gone. "Hello," called out, her voice echoed. She walked forward slowly. She did not mean to break any rules. She was just lost. She was just a child. Then she saw it. A large door with golden markings. It was beautiful. Reached out to touch it, but before her fingers could make contact, alarms screamed through the air. Lights flashed. Heavy footsteps came from behind her. Turned around and saw 4 tall figures in black armor. They were council enforcers. Their faces were hidden behind masks. They carried long metal rods that sparked with electricity. "Human," one of them said. The word sounded like poison in his mouth. "You have entered a restricted zone." His eyes filled with tears. "I am sorry, I was lost. I did not mean to." The enforcer grabbed her arm. His grip was hard, it hurt. "Ignorance is no excuse," he said. "You must be punished." They dragged through the halls. She cried and begged them to stop. She told them she was just a child. She told them to call her father, but they did not listen. To them, she was not a child. She was a human, and humans needed to learn their place. They brought her to a public square in the center of the station. Hundreds of aliens were there, walking, talking, shopping. The enforcers threw onto the ground in front of everyone. "This human entered sacred council space," one enforcer announced loudly. "She will receive 10 strikes as punishment." Looked up with terror in her eyes. She did not understand. She had just been playing. The first strike came down on her back. The electric rod burned through her thin shirt. She screamed. The sound was high and sharp, the sound of a child in pain. The second strike came, then the third. Aliens watched, some looked away, some did nothing, a few even smiled. By the fifth strike stopped screaming. Her body went limp. Her small hands clutched the cold floor. Tears ran down her face and mixed with blood. When it was over, the enforcers dropped her there like garbage. They walked away without looking back. Lay on the ground, broken and bleeding. Her dress was torn. Her back was covered in burns. She was barely conscious. A crowd formed around her, but no one helped. They just stared. Then through the crowd, a human man pushed forward. It was one of the crew members from the horizon. His face was pale with shock. He ran to and dropped to his knees beside her. "Little star, can you hear me?" His voice cracked. She opened her eyes just a little. "It hurts," she whispered. "I want my daddy." Carefully picked her up. She was so light, so small, so broken. He carried her back to the horizon as fast as he could. People watched him go. The aliens did not try to stop him. They had made their point. Humans had been reminded of their place. But they did not know what they had just done. They did not know that in hurting, they had made the worst mistake in their long history. On the horizon, placed gently on a medical bed, the doctors worked quickly, but their hands shook, not because the injuries were too bad to fix, but because of what they meant. Captain stood at the door of the medical bay. His face was like stone. His eyes were dark. He looked at his daughter, at the burns on her back, at her small, broken body. He said nothing for a long time. Then he turned to his first officer. His voice was quiet, too quiet. "Contact Earth Command," said. "Tell them what happened, tell them everything." Nodded slowly. "What do you want to say to them, Captain?" Looked back at, she was sleeping now. Her face was peaceful, but her back was wrapped in bandages. "Tell them," he said, "that they touched one of our children." Understood. He walked to the communication room without another word. That night a message traveled across the stars at faster than light speed. It reached Earth in less than an hour. It was read by admirals, generals, and leaders. It was short. It was simple. And it changed everything. The Council had made their choice. Now humanity would make theirs. The message reached Earth at 3:47 in the morning, Seoul time. It arrived at the Global Defense Center, a building hidden deep beneath the mountains of Korea. This was where humanity kept its secrets. This was where the real power lived. Admiral was sleeping when her phone rang. She answered it on the second ring. Old soldiers never sleep deeply. She listened for 30 seconds. Then she got out of bed, dressed in her uniform, and drove to the center without saying a word to anyone. When she arrived, the room was already full. Generals from every nation sat around a long table. Scientists stood against the walls. Politicians watched from screens on every surface. Everyone was quiet. Everyone was waiting. Walked to the front of the room. She was 62 years old, with gray hair cut short and eyes that had seen too many wars. She had fought in the water conflicts of 2089. She had led the defense of the Asian coast during the Great Flood. She had never lost a battle. But today she felt something she had not felt in a long time: rage. "Play the recording," she said. The lights dimmed. A large screen came to life. The room watched in silence as the footage played. They saw a small girl with dark hair running through alien halls. They saw her get lost. They saw her touch a door. They heard alarms. They watched as 4 armored figures grabbed her. They watched as she cried and begged. Then they watched the punishment. Every strike of the electric rod echoed through the room. Every scream from cut into their hearts. When the footage ended, the screen went dark. No one spoke. Admiral stood perfectly still. Her hands were behind her back, her face showed nothing, but her eyes were burning. "That child," she said slowly, "is the daughter of Captain. She is 12 years old. She likes to draw pictures of stars. She wants to be an astronaut when she grows up." She paused. The council beat her in public like an animal. They left her bleeding on the floor, and they walked away laughing. A general from Europe spoke up. His voice was shaking. "What do they want us to do? Apologize, send gifts, beg for forgiveness?" Looked at him. "They want us to stay quiet. They want us to accept this. They want us to remember our place." The room was silent again. Then smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a wolf showing its teeth. "They made a mistake," she said. "They think we are weak because we are young. They think we are harmless because we smile and trade and ask for peace. They have forgotten something important." She walked to a control panel and pressed a button. The screen changed. Now it showed something different, something secret. The room gasped. On the screen were ships, thousands of ships. They were hidden in the darkness between stars in places no one would think to look. They were warships, built in silence over the past 5 years. While humanity smiled and bowed to the council, they had been preparing for this moment. Project Iron Sky said, 4,000 warships, 12 carrier groups, enough firepower to burn the council's entire fleet in less than 1 day. A Chinese general stood up. "We were told this project was only for defense, only for emergencies." "This is an emergency," replied. "They hurt one of our children. They filmed it for everyone to see. If we do nothing, they will do it again, and again, until humanity is nothing but a species of slaves." The room began to murmur. Some people agreed, some were afraid. War was not a small thing. War meant death. War meant sacrifice. But they all remembered the footage. They all heard screams. Raised her hand, and the room went quiet again. "I am not saying we must attack today," she said. "I am saying we must respond. We must show them that humanity is not weak. We must give them one chance to make this right." "And if they refuse?" someone asked. His eyes were cold. "Then we remind them why Earth was once called the cradle of warriors." The vote was unanimous. Every leader, every general, every politician agreed. Humanity would send a message. They would give the council one warning, just one. On the horizon, Captain sat beside his daughter's bed. He had not slept in 2 days. He held her small hand and watched her breathe. The doctors said she would recover. Her body would heal. But her mind, that would take longer. She woke up sometimes and screamed. She thought she was still on the floor. She thought the enforcers were still hitting her. Held her each time until she calmed down. "Daddy," she whispered one night, "why did they hurt me? I just wanted to play." Felt tears in his eyes. He was a captain. He was supposed to be strong. But how could any father stay strong when his child asked such a question? "They were wrong," he said softly. "They were scared and cruel, and they were wrong. You did nothing bad, little star. You are innocent." "Will they hurt me again?" Leaned forward and kissed her forehead. "No," he said. His voice was firm. "No one will ever hurt you again. I promise." She closed her eyes and slept again. Stayed beside her, holding her hand. A few hours later, came to the door of the medical bay. He looked nervous. "Captain," he said quietly, "Earth Command has replied." Stood up slowly. He followed to the communication room. A screen showed Admiral's face. "Captain," she said, "I have seen the footage. I have shown it to every leader on Earth. The decision has been made." His heart beat faster. "What decision?" "Ambassador Park Min-yu will arrive at the station tomorrow. He will deliver humanity's response to the council directly." "And what is that response?" asked. His face was calm, too calm. "We are going to give them one chance, one warning. They can return to honor. They can punish the enforcers. They can apologize publicly. If they do these things, there will be peace. And if they refuse?" Was silent for a moment, then she spoke again. "Then we wake the sleeping giant." Understood, every human understood those words. They came from an old story, a story about a great nation that was attacked while it slept. That nation woke up angry. It won the war that followed, and it never forgot. The council thought humanity was asleep. The council thought humanity was weak. They were about to learn the truth. The next morning told what was happening. He did not hide the truth from her. She was young, but she was smart. She deserved to know. People on Earth saw what happened to you, he said. They are very angry. They are sending someone to talk to the council. Looked at him with wide eyes. Are they going to fight? Maybe, said honestly. But first they will give the council a chance to say sorry, a chance to make things right. Do you think they will? Looked out the window at the council station. It floated in space like a crown of lights, beautiful and arrogant. The aliens there thought they ruled the galaxy. They thought no one could touch them. No, said quietly, I do not think they will. Squeezed his hand. Then what happens? Looked back at her, his daughter, his little star, the child they had hurt, the child who still trusted him to keep her safe. Then they learn, he said, that they should have listened. The horizon waited in dock. The crew prepared for whatever would come next, and across the stars humanity prepared too. Ambassador Minyu was already on his way. He carried no weapons. He brought no soldiers, just words. But sometimes, words are the most dangerous weapons of all. Ambassador Park Minyu arrived at the council station on a small shuttle. It was white with a blue stripe, the colors of Earth's united government. The shuttle carried no weapons. It had no armor. It looked fragile next to the massive warships of the council that floated nearby. Minyu stepped out of the shuttle alone. He was 50 years old with silver hair and a calm face. He wore a simple black suit, no medals, no badges, nothing to show his rank. He looked like an ordinary man. But Minyu was not ordinary. He had negotiated peace treaties between warring nations. He had talked generals out of nuclear strikes. He had spent 30 years learning how to use words like weapons, and today he would need every skill he had. The council's guards met him at the dock. They looked at him with disgust, like he was dirt on their boots. Follow us, one of them said. The council is waiting. Minyu said nothing. He followed them through the long halls of the station. Aliens watched him pass. Some whispered, some pointed, some laughed. The human was here to beg, they thought. The human was here to cry for mercy. They were wrong. The council chamber was the largest room Minyu had ever seen. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into darkness. The floor was made of polished stone that reflected light like water. At the far end of the room sat the council itself. 12 leaders from 12 species, arranged in a half-circle on high thrones. Elder sat in the center. His stone-like skin caught the light. His black eyes stared down at Minyu like he was looking at an insect. Human said, his voice echoed through the chamber. You have requested to speak, speak quickly. Our time is valuable. Minyu walked to the center of the room. He stood straight and tall. He did not bow. He did not look afraid. I am Ambassador Park Minyu, he said. His voice was calm and clear. I speak for Earth. I speak for all of humanity. I am here because of what you did to one of our children. Waved his hand. The child broke our laws. She entered sacred space. She was punished according to our rules. This matter is closed. No, Minyu said, it is not. The room went silent. Aliens looked at each other in surprise. Humans did not say no to the council. Humans were supposed to be quiet and grateful just to be here. Leaned forward, his eyes grew darker. What did you say? Minyu took a deep breath. The child was 12 years old. She was lost. She touched a door. And for this, your enforcers beat her until she could not stand. They left her bleeding on the floor in front of hundreds of witnesses. She broke the law, repeated. Ignorance is no excuse. She is a child, Minyu said. In human culture, we do not punish children the way we punish adults. We teach them. We guide them. We do not beat them in public like animals. Laughed. It was an ugly sound like rocks grinding together. Human culture means nothing here. You are guests in our galaxy. You follow our rules or you suffer the consequences. Minyu was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke again and his voice was different now, colder. I came here to offer you a choice, he said. You can make this right. You can punish the enforcers who hurt the child. You can apologize publicly. You can restore her honor. If you do these things, there will be peace between us. His eyes narrowed, and if we refuse? Minyu looked directly at him. Then you have one solar cycle to evacuate your stations, one solar cycle to move your fleets, one solar cycle to run as far as you can. The chamber exploded with noise. Aliens shouted and stood from their seats. Some laughed, some looked confused, some looked angry. No one had ever spoken to the council this way. No species had ever dared. Raised his hand and the room went quiet again. He stood from his throne and walked down the steps until he was standing right in front of Minyu. He was much taller, much bigger. He looked down at the human with contempt. You threaten us, said softly. You, a species that has only been in space for 100 years. You who could not even find peace among yourselves. You dare to threaten the Galactic Council. Minyu did not move. He did not blink. I am not threatening you, he said. I am warning you. There is a difference. Explain. Minyu turned and looked at the other council members. He wanted them all to hear this. He wanted them to remember. Humanity is young, he said. You are right about that. We have only been among the stars for a short time. You look at us and see children, primitives, a species that does not matter. He paused. But you have made a mistake. You have confused youth with weakness. You have confused peace with fear. We came to you with open hands. We asked for friendship. We followed your rules. We smiled and bowed and said thank you. His voice grew harder. And you took our kindness for submission. You thought we were tame. You thought we were safe. So when one of our children wandered where she should not have been, you beat her without mercy. You wanted to remind us of our place. He looked back at. You have reminded us of something else instead. And what is that? Asked. That we cannot trust you to treat us with honor. That you see us as less than nothing. That as long as you have power over us, our children will never be safe. Minyu stepped closer. His voice dropped to almost a whisper, but somehow it filled the entire chamber. So I will say this once and only once. You have one solar cycle to make this right. If you apologize, if you punish those who hurt, if you show that humans are worthy of respect, then we will have peace. Real peace, peace that lasts. And if we do not? Asked. Minyu smiled. It was a small smile, but there was no warmth in it. Then you will learn what humanity truly is. You will learn why our history is written in blood. You will learn why we are the only species on our planet that killed all the others. You will learn that when you hurt our children, you wake something inside us that does not forgive, does not forget, does not stop. He turned and began walking toward the door. One solar cycle, he said over his shoulder. That is more mercy than you deserve. Do not waste it. The guards moved to stop him, but waved them back. He watched Minyu leave with eyes full of cold fury. The other council members murmured among themselves. Some looked worried, some looked amused, most looked confused. What could humans possibly do? They had no fleet to speak of. Their technology was inferior. They were spread thin across a handful of colonies. Returned to his throne. He sat down heavily and stared at the door where Minyu had disappeared. What do you want to do? One of the other elders asked. Was silent for a long moment, then he laughed again. Nothing, he said. We do nothing. The human is bluffing. They have no power. They have no strength. They are trying to scare us with words because words are all they have. But what if they are not bluffing? Shook his head. Then we crush them. We have 10,000 warships. They have maybe 200. This is simple math. Even children can understand it. The council agreed. The warning was dismissed. The human was ignored. But that night, across the station, aliens began to whisper. They talked about the human ambassador who did not bow. They talked about his cold eyes and calm voice. They talked about the promise he made. Some of them started to pack their things. Some of them booked passage on ships leaving the station. Some of them remembered old stories about humans, stories about wars that lasted for decades, about cities burned to ash, about enemies hunted to extinction. The council thought they had nothing to fear. But in the darkness of space, something was moving, something was coming. And time was running out. The hours passed slowly on the council station. Ambassador Minu returned to the horizon and waited. Captain sat with. The crew watched the clock and counted the minutes. But in the council chamber, there was only laughter. Elder gathered his advisors that evening. They stood in a private room behind the great hall, surrounded by screens that showed the positions of their fleets. 10,000 warships spread across the galaxy like a net of iron and fire. "The human thinks we are afraid," said. He was drinking from a golden cup. His stone face showed nothing but amusement. "He thinks his little speech scared us." One of the advisors, a thin creature with scales and 6 eyes, nodded quickly. "He is a fool. Humans are known for their empty words. They talk big, but they cannot fight." Another advisor spoke up. This one was older, with wrinkled gray skin and slow movements. "Perhaps we should consider their request. The punishment of the child was harsh. Other species are watching. It makes us look cruel." Slammed his cup on the table. The sound echoed like thunder. "Cruel," he said. "We are the council. We have ruled this galaxy for 3,000 years. We decide what is cruel and what is just. If other species do not like it, they can challenge us. But they will not, because they know what happens to those who challenge the council." The old advisor bowed his head. "Of course, Elder," I spoke out of turn. Looked around the room. His black eyes were cold. "Let me be clear. We will not apologize to humans. We will not punish our enforcers. We will not change our rules because some primitive species does not like them. If we show weakness now, every race in the galaxy will think they can push us around." The advisors nodded. They agreed. They always agreed. "Send a message to the human ship," commanded. "Tell them their request has been. Tell them to leave our space within 12 hours or their ship will be destroyed. That is our answer." The message was sent. On the horizon, Minu received it without expression. He read it once, then turned to Captain. "They said no," he said simply. His jaw tightened. "Did they say anything else?" "They gave us 12 hours to leave. After that, they will destroy us." The bridge was silent. Everyone knew what this meant. The council had chosen war. Pressed a button on his console. A communication channel opened. Admiral's face appeared on the screen. "They refused," said. His eyes were like ice. She did not look surprised. "I expected as much. How is your daughter?" "Healing slowly." "Good, keep her safe. Things are about to change." She cut the connection, looked at Minu. "What now?" he asked. Minu walked to the observation window. He looked out at the council station, at its bright lights and massive structures. So arrogant, so confident. "Now," Minu said quietly, "we show them what we really are." Back on the station, the council continued their normal business. They held meetings. They made deals. They laughed about the foolish humans who thought they could make demands. But strange things began to happen. Some aliens started leaving the station. Merchants closed their shops and booked emergency flights to distant systems. Diplomats from minor species suddenly had urgent business elsewhere. The docking bays became crowded with ships trying to depart. Noticed this and grew angry. "Why are they running?" he demanded. "There is nothing to fear. The humans cannot do anything to us." One of his guards stepped forward. "Elder, there are rumors spreading through the station. People are saying the humans have a secret fleet. They are saying war is coming. Rumors spat. Lies, the humans have nothing. Our intelligence reports are clear. Their military is small and weak. They have no secret weapons. They have no hidden ships. But Elder, some of the merchants claim they have seen things. Strange signals in deep space. Ship movements where there should be none. Waved his hand. Merchants see whatever helps them sell their goods. Fear is profitable. They are lying to create panic and raise their prices. Ignore them. The guard bowed and retreated. But the rumors did not stop. If anything, they grew stronger. A scientist from one of the neutral species came to the council that night. He was small and nervous, with big eyes and trembling hands. "I have been studying human history," he said. "I thought it might be useful to understand our new neighbors. What I found is disturbing." Sighed, "We are not interested in human history. It is short and boring." With respect, Elder, it is neither. Humans have been at war with each other for most of their existence. They have invented weapons of unimaginable destruction. They have wiped out entire civilizations. They have killed millions of their own kind. So they are violent, we knew this. The scientist shook his head. "You do not understand. They are not just violent, they are creative about it. When we developed our first weapons, we built simple things, spears, swords. It took us thousands of years to develop anything more advanced. Humans did it in centuries, sometimes in decades." He pulled out a small device and projected images onto the wall. They showed human weapons, guns, bombs, missiles, nuclear explosions. "They created a weapon that could destroy entire cities in a single blast," the scientist said. "Then they built thousands of them. Then they pointed them at each other for 50 years, ready to end their own species if the other side attacked first." The advisors looked uncomfortable. "And they survived?" one asked. "Yes, they survived, and they kept building. Biological weapons, chemical weapons, things that could kill entire planets. They built them all, and here is the part that scares me most." The scientist leaned forward. "When they came to space, they did not stop. They just got better at hiding what they were building." Stood up, his stone face was hard. "Enough. I will not listen to stories designed to frighten children. Humans are weak. Their technology is inferior. We have confirmed this through years of observation." "But what if they wanted us to think that?" the scientist asked. "What if they hid their true power on purpose? What if they were waiting for a reason to use it?" "That is ridiculous." "Is it? Elder, I beg you. Reconsider the warning, apologize to them. It costs us nothing." His black eyes burned with anger. "It costs us everything. It costs us respect. It costs us power. It costs us control. If we bow to humans, every species will think they can push us. No, we will not back down. The humans will leave or they will die." He turned to his guards. "Remove this scientist. He is no longer welcome in the council chamber." The guards dragged the small creature away. He shouted as he went, "You are making a terrible mistake. You do not understand what you are dealing with." His voice faded as the doors closed behind him. Sat back on his throne, the room was quiet. "The deadline is in 4 hours, one advisor said. "The human ship is still in dock." "Then they have chosen their fate," replied. "When the deadline passes, destroy them." Far away, in the darkness between stars, lights began to blink. Ships that had been silent for years powered up their engines. Crews that had been waiting for 5 years received their orders. Admiral stood on the bridge of her flagship. It was called the Soul. It was the biggest warship humanity had ever built, and it was surrounded by thousands of others just like it. She looked at the star map in front of her. The council station was marked with a red dot. Around it were the positions of the council fleet. "All ships are ready," her second-in-command reported. Nodded slowly. "How long until the deadline?" 3 hours. Closed her eyes for a moment. She thought about the footage. She thought about the screams. Then she opened her eyes. "Begin the approach," she said. "Silent running, no signals, no warnings. We arrive at the exact moment the deadline ends." And then looked at the screen. Her face was calm, her heart was not. "Then we show them what happens when you hurt one of our children." The fleet moved forward, 4,000 warships sliding through the darkness like ghosts. The council did not see them coming. They were still laughing. They were still sure. They were still wrong. The deadline ended at exactly midnight, station time. Elder stood on the command deck of the council's flagship, the Pride of Ages. He was surrounded by officers and advisors. Screens showed the position of every ship in the area. The human vessel, the Horizon, was still in dock at the station. "They did not leave," said with satisfaction. "Just as I predicted, they are fools. They thought we would change our minds." He turned to his weapons officer. "Target the human ship. Prepare to fire." "Yes, Elder." The weapons systems powered up. Cannons that could destroy mountains aimed at the small research vessel. The crew of the Pride of Ages waited for the order. Raised his hand. And then the stars went dark. All around the station, lights appeared. Not the lights of distant suns, not the lights of passing comets. These were the lights of ships, thousands of ships. They came from every direction at once, like a wave of fire sweeping across the void. The officer at the sensor station made a sound. It was not a word. It was fear-given voice. "Elder," he whispered. "Elder, you need to see this." Walked to the screen. His black eyes went wide. Ships, warships, human warships. They filled the display from edge to edge. 4,000 vessels, each one bristling with weapons. They surrounded the council fleet like wolves surrounding sheep. "That is impossible," said. His voice cracked. "They do not have ships like this," our intelligence said. "Your intelligence was wrong." A new voice came through the communication system. It was calm, it was cold, it was Admiral. Her face appeared on every screen in the council fleet. She looked at them with eyes that held no mercy. "Elder," she said, "we gave you one warning. You chose to ignore it. That choice has consequences." Found his voice. "This is an act of war. The council has 10,000 ships. You cannot." "We can," cut him off. "And we will. But first, I want you to understand something. I want you to remember this moment for the rest of your very short life." She leaned forward. "You hurt a child, a 12-year-old girl who was lost and scared. You beat her in public. You left her bleeding on the floor. And when we asked for justice, you laughed at us." Her voice grew harder. "We did not come here to fight. We came here to trade, to learn, to make friends. We smiled and bowed because we wanted peace. But you saw our kindness and called it weakness. You saw our patience and called it fear. You thought you could do whatever you wanted to us because we would be too afraid to fight back." She paused. "You were wrong." Tried to speak, but no words came. For the first time in his long life, he was truly afraid. "Here is what happens now," said. "You have 10 minutes to surrender. Every ship that lowers its weapons and powers down will be spared. Every ship that resists will be destroyed. There will be no negotiations. There will be no second chances." She looked directly at. "You had your chance. You wasted it on pride." The communication ended. For a moment, nothing moved. The two fleets faced each other in the darkness. 10,000 council ships against 4,000 human ships. On paper, the council should have won easily. But the council ships were old. They had not fought a real war in centuries. Their crews were comfortable and lazy. Their tactics were outdated. The human ships were new. They were built for one purpose: to fight. Their crews had trained in secret for 5 years, preparing for this exact moment. Every weapon was the best that human science could build. Every strategy was tested and refined. And every single person on those ships was angry. "All ships," said over the fleet channel, Weapons free, protect the horizon at all costs, and make them remember this day forever. The battle began. The human ships moved first. They were faster than the Council had ever imagined. They did not fight in lines or formations. They fought like wolves, attacking in groups, hitting weak points, retreating before the enemy could respond. The Council ships tried to fight back, but they were too slow, too confused. Orders came from the Pride of Ages, but the officers did not know what to do. They had never faced an enemy like this. Within the first hour, the Council lost 2,000 ships. Watch from his command deck as his fleet burned. His stone face was cracked with fear. His black eyes reflected the explosions that lit up the void. "Retreat," he screamed. "All ships retreat." But there was nowhere to go. The human fleet had surrounded them. Every escape route was blocked. Every jump point was covered. The trap was perfect. On the horizon, Captain stood at the observation window by his side. She was out of bed now, wrapped in a blanket, still healing but strong enough to stand. She watched the battle with wide eyes. "Daddy," she said quietly, "are they going to be okay, the aliens who were nice to me?" Looked down at her. Even now, after everything they had done to her, she was worried about others. His heart swelled with pride. "Admiral gave orders to protect civilians," he said. "The station is not a target, only the warships." "What about the ones who hurt me?" Was quiet for a moment. "They will face justice." By the second hour, the Council fleet was broken. Half their ships were destroyed or damaged beyond repair. The rest were trying to surrender, but many could not even manage that. Their communications were jammed. Their systems were failing. Human ships cut through them like knives through paper. His flagship was the last to fall. The sole Admiral's ship approached the Pride of Ages slowly. The Council flagship was dead in space, its weapons destroyed, its engines crippled, stood alone on the command deck. His officers had fled or been killed. He had nothing left. His face appeared on his screen one final time. "Elder," she said, "do you surrender?" Stared at her, his pride was shattered. His fleet was gone, his power was nothing but ash. "Yes," he whispered, "I surrender." Nodded. "You will be taken to Earth. You will stand trial for your crimes, the punishment of a child, the refusal to give justice, the attempt to destroy a civilian vessel. You will answer for all of it." Lowered his head. "The Council will not accept this. The other species will fight you." "No," said, "they will not. We have already sent messages to every civilization in the galaxy. We have shown them the footage of what you did too. We have shown them how we asked for peace and you gave us war. We have shown them that humanity protects its own." She leaned back in her chair. "Some of them are already sending messages of support. Others are staying silent. But none of them will fight for you. You are alone. Your council is finished. The galaxy will have a new order now. One where no child is beaten in public. One where justice means something." Human soldiers boarded the Pride of Ages and took away. He did not resist. He had nothing left to fight with. In the days that followed, the galaxy changed forever. The Galactic Council was dissolved. A new assembly was formed, one where all species had equal voices. Humanity took its place not as newcomers but as protectors. Other species looked at them differently now, not with contempt, with respect, sometimes with fear. And on Earth became a symbol, not of weakness but of what humanity would do for its children. Schools taught about her. Songs were written about her. She was uncomfortable with the attention, but her father told her something that helped. "You did nothing wrong," said. "You were just a child who got lost. But what happened to you showed the galaxy who we really are. Not because of what they did to you, but because of what we did for you." Thought about this for a long time. Then she smiled. "We protect our own," she said. Smiled back, always. Years later became an ambassador herself. She traveled to the stars and spoke for humanity. She met aliens who remembered the war. Some were afraid of her, some hated her, but many respected her. She never forgot what happened to her, but she also never let it make her cruel. "We gave them one warning," she would say when asked about the war. "That is more than they gave me, but we did not destroy them. We did not wipe them out. We beat them and then we taught them. That is what makes us human." The galaxy remembered. They remembered the child who was hurt. They remembered the warning that was given. They remembered the fleet that appeared from the darkness. And they remembered the lesson. You do not touch humanity's children. Not ever. Not once.